Hey everybody, welcome to We Run on Reruns. I'm Amanda and I'm here with my brother Eric.
How's everybody doing out there? We are here with our Stranger Things Season 4 finale continued, part 2, if you will.
Yes.
As we've had to break this Season 4 finale into 2 podcasts because, genuinely, it's just an incredibly long episode. It's almost 2.5 hours long. So, we are here with Season 4, Episode 9, the Piggyback, second episode of our podcast.
That's right. Yes, and if you haven't listened to the first part, please go back, listen to that first, and then we'll see you back here to listen to part 2. Because, it probably won't make a whole lot of sense if we just dive into the end, although maybe you've watched it a few times, just like the second part. That's cool. Please listen on if that's the case.
And if you are listening on Spotify right now and you want to give us 5-star rating, that would be awesome. You can do that by going to the podcast page, clicking on the 3 dots button, and giving us a rating there. Remember, you can't be on an episode. You have to be on the full podcast to give us a rating. We would really appreciate it. It helps us out quite a bit. So thank you so much if you've already done it. And if you are going to do it, we really appreciate that.
Or Apple Podcasts or wherever you're listening to, there should be a rating system really on any of the podcast players. So we would love 5 stars wherever you're at. I don't know if it's the 3 dots with Apple, with the Apple Podcasts, or if it's different there. I don't have that one, but
I'm not 100% sure that Apple has a rating system on it. It might, but I was looking to try and find one the other day. I don't know that there is one, but but I will look into that. Or if you know that there is one, find a way to rate us there, because I don't think I've seen one yet.
Okay.
But you can certainly do that on Spotify, and we would really appreciate that.
All right. That's fair enough. Yeah, wherever you're at, look for a rating system if you have it. It just helps us get discovered more easily. It kind of bumps us further up the list. So when someone's searching for a podcast like ours will be just that much more discoverable. Really appreciate any support we can get, any help we can get with that. And thank you for listening. But just as a reminder of where we left things off with the first portion last week, we had Hopper devising a plan to defeat the Demogorgons who have taken over the prison. We saw Elle connecting with Max through the pizza dough freezer. We also had the rest of the Hawkins crew working to clear the path for Max so they can all collectively take down Vecna. And so a lot of last week was like the preparation for the action that we're going to get into today. And that's really how I feel like in the last seasons too, that's really how the Duffer Brothers tended to build the finale, is they would have like the planning and the like formulation of all the pieces to come together, and then the execution of the plan in the second part, which makes a whole lot of sense. So
and the way we cut our podcast in half, we kind of left it where the plan was going south, where everybody was starting to have issues. And as much as Nancy wanted everybody to stick to the plan, and this is what the plan is, and we're all going to stick to it no matter what, some things have gone sideways. And so here we are.
Yeah, and we pointed out it was Nancy's group that started to deviate from the plan first. It was Robin who ran off, and Nancy's like not really even saying anything. It's like, what's happening here?
What are you going to do?
Man.
But we have, so I will say, when we're breaking these down, we have 3 sections of this episode that are going to be pretty quick, because when you actually look at what is left specifically for them, there's not a ton of scenes. There's a few. Amanda will break down the big, huge chunk of ending in the Upside Down. And then we will get to the 2 days later, which is always a fun section that the Duffer Brothers always seem to just slap in at the end of a finale. But here we are.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Russia. And not only have we been starting with the Russian section, there's a component to this Russian section that kind of implies that everybody else gets to know this. So let's get this out of the way first. And where we've left off is Hopper is running back to the jail cell pit. And in this section, there is like one very small Demogorgon that is chasing him. And he's hoping that if he can lead that Demogorgon to the pit, the rest of them will follow as he is the bait. And Joyce is going to lock them all in the pit. Well, he doesn't quite get there as the Demogorgon catches him in the hallway halfway down. And as he is struggling and fighting with this Demogorgon to like get it off him so he can continue going, Joyce comes out of nowhere with this shock stick where she just jams like a taser on a stick into the side of the Demogorgon, getting it off of Hopper so he can continue his run into the pit. Joyce gets away and the Demogorgon continues to follow, only for there to be many more Demogorgons that have followed into the pit, which is the exact plan. And so Hopper tries to get himself into a little jail cell. The Demogorgons are ripping the door off the cell. Yeah. And then we hear Murray from up top, and he's got the flamethrower. And this flamethrower then lights up all the Demogorgons underneath, and they all perish a very painful, hot death. And this flamethrower scene is the piece that we see, as this is a hive mind, all other storylines kind of connect to. Now, there is one Demogorgon who still has survived this flamethrower incident, and Hopper is able to find himself a sword somewhere in this pit that must have been left there from a previous battle. And so the Demogorgon is running at Hopper. Hopper is running at the Demogorgon in this very slow-mo, very action sequence, almost kind of like an anime style kind of way. And
totally.
Hopper is able to one swing, get one of the arms off the Demogorgon that was swinging for him, and then they turn back around and they approach each other again, and he chops the head off the Demogorgon in a very symbolic ending of this story. And at that moment, as the Demogorgon is falling to the ground and Hopper is there with the sword in his hand, Yuri and Enzo fly over the top in their newly fixed up helicopter and like waving from above as they are now all free to leave. Demogorgons killed, Russians not alive. So there is nobody else around to stop them. They're all jumping in the chopper with the new hero, Yuri, flying the thing.
Yeah, I guess Yuri came around.
Yes, he did. Enzo's speech really saved the day for them in that context.
Yeah. And Eric, the thing that really stuck out to me the most with this scene is that Hopper, we've talked about this before. It's like, are the Demogorgons bulletproof or not?
You know, I skipped over this part because I didn't want to like jump back into it. He shot him a whole bunch of times, and the Demogorgon were like, "No, don't care." But he shot the one in the face. I don't know.
Yeah, he had a rifle, and he is just spraying it with bullets, and it's just like, "Yep, don't care. I'm bulletproof." Like, doesn't care. I mean, I don't know. I guess he didn't get it in the flower. I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna stand on that. I'm gonna stand on this is like video game hit point system, where if you see the little diamonds or whatever, the markers on the bad guy, and you shoot the markers, those are the things that give you the bonus double damage that actually kills the Demogorgon. So if you shoot it right in the mouth, it dies. And if you don't,
because at the same time,
so be it.
Yeah, we also saw like Hopper was literally able to hold this thing off of him by like he was holding the flower mouth thing shut so it wasn't gonna like attach itself to his face. And I guess you did mention it was a smaller one.
It was a smaller one. They did pick
it was
one.
A baby demo, but
it was well, it came out of the little nesting tube. But like they did. I will say this: when it comes to that, I will give credit because they were watching on the security cams previously in this episode, and they specifically picked out this one. saying, this is a smaller one. It's all by itself. This is the one we get. So I'm not saying that Hopper could have done that, but I'm going to say that if he had to do it, that's the one he's going to do it on. The one that ripped the door cell off that he ends up having the sword fight with at the end, you know, is what it is. Good thing swords work. You should have known that maybe a couple seasons ago. Like, hey, we can just chop their heads off. Let's do that.
That makes sense. Yeah, it kind of it reminds me of like The Walking Dead, where you have to kill the zombie in the head with the sword or with any type of spear. Either way,
the whole idea of bringing a sword to a gunfight, bringing a knife to a gunfight, like this is where you want to bring the knife to the gunfight in this situation, because the guns don't work unless they're strapped to a table and you shoot it once in the face, and the swords do work. Fire also works, so bring fire to the fight. Really.
Okay. Did they also show Murray like running out of like lighter fluid? Is that what happened? Like, why did Murray? Could he just not kill the last one with fire?
I don't know that they showed him running out. I don't know if he just stopped pulling the trigger or what. But listen, you needed Hopper to have his moment. Okay? That's why the fire ran out, or that's why Murray didn't kill the last one. You needed Hopper to have his moment where he saves the day by sword fighting the last Demogorgon. Like, that visual was good. Don't ask why, okay? We don't need to know why Murray didn't kill it. He probably could have, unless he ran out, but this was the case.
I also like that they brought Joyce in to like electric shock that one that was on top of Hopper.
All three of them had a moment. They all had a hand-to-hand combat moment with Demogorgons in this.
That's right.
So and we will mention this flamethrower a number of times throughout this episode, because that really had an impact on everybody else, as they were hoping. They would hope that this would help the kids, give them a leg up somewhere, and boy, did it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, Eric, that's a great point. It's like that, and there's a lot of like through points, like this next section that I'll be talking about, which is a lot of the Max's
bulk.
Experience.
This next section we're going to talk about really is the bulk of the story conclusion, and then we'll go back and touch on some of the smaller plot points that have to get wrapped up.
Yeah, because like there's the Eddie and Dustin storyline that Eric will talk about after, and then what happens specifically with Lucas, Jason, and Max, which is a huge part of the story. But it's more of what's happening at the same time as what Max and 11 are experiencing. So we felt like it makes more sense to cover the Max and with Vecna and 11 portion first, to give that background, because it is such a large part of the story. So where we pick up with them is we see Max, she's seeing that Creel house door with that stained glass window. It's because, remember, she is in that dance hall room. Like, she's remembering back, she was trying to go back to a happy memory and stay there.
Snowball.
Where she had first kissed, the snowball where she had first kissed Lucas. And so she's kind of back in that room, except it is now, we saw the balloons popping in the first portion. It's been like slowly evolving into Vecna's upside down as well. So unfortunately, those dark memories, he's able to still get a hold on her. And so we see the Creel house door appear on the dance floor. That's not a good thing. Now she's also hearing a ticking clock and Vecna's voice saying, "You can't hide from me, Max." And he's all, "You thought you could trick me. You thought you could stop me. And I can feel all of your friends dying. It's time, Max." And that's when he pins Max to a wall, and she is just hanging out there.
I just have to say at this moment.
Yeah.
I know they've got about as well thought out a plan as they can possibly have. But they're fighting someone who can go into all these people's memories and know what they're thinking at all points in time. You don't think he can see the plan and where everybody else is? Like, I that makes sense to me. Like, Vecna's got a grip on this whole plan laid out, and he can see them all and where they all are, especially since half of them are in his upside down. So, yeah, I like that made sense to me. This whole idea of this plan is falling apart because you guys all thought I couldn't just see you all. Like, that's crazy. I've got this under control. Okay.
It really is. Like, when he said that, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, guys, this might have been a minor oversight here. Like, this whole thing is blowing up in your faces. But hey, you had to give it a shot. All right.
The only people that are truly safe from Vecna at this juncture appear to be like Lucas and Erica. That's it. They're not in the upside down. They aren't in his like vision grasp. Like, no. They are the only two that are fully clear. But they've got other issues. They've got other real world issues that they're dealing with.
Yeah. And so we see Vecna saying to Max that she's braver than Billy, but she will break. And then he does the long, scary finger thing over her face. Yes. And he's saying, he's starting to get pulled back from Max because he's right up in her face, which is never a good sign. But then he gets ripped away, and there's only one force that could do that, and that's right, it's 11. 11 appears right there in physical form in the dance hall, and she has Vecna levitating in the air, and she turns him around to face her so that he can see, it's her doing all this work. And I'm just like, yeah, at this point. I love this moment. It's so great. And she just says, hi, and then throws him into the bleachers, and he goes straight through the bleachers. And it's a wonderful moment. Wish it was that easy. Love that. It's like, let's just wrap up here, guys. Let's just wrap this whole thing up. He must be dead, right? No. So 11 is helping Max up, and she's like, yeah, I'm real, because Max is probably thinking that she's hallucinating or just imagining something, or maybe she's dead. I don't know. That's what I would be thinking if I was Max. But she's saying, I love this line from 11 here. She's like, yeah, I piggybacked here from a pizza dough freezer.
That is such a good line. Like, what? And Max is like, what does that even mean? I don't even understand that, but it does make sense to the rest of us.
It's wonderful because, of course, 11 says it completely deadpan, like no emotion, just like, yeah, this is what happened. Like, that's all it is. But of course, then we do have Vecna crawling back in to the gym from the bleachers, and 11 is telling Max to stay back and saying to Vecna, if you ever touch her again, I will kill you again. I like that line.
Great line, too.
I will re-kill you. And Vecna is saying, I am so glad that you are here. This is going to be so beautiful. And he throws her across the room in that moment. And Vecna just tosses Max aside because Max is like trying to like throw something at him and like just like kick him. And like, it's like, no, just flick her aside. And that's when Vecna picks up 11 and is saying, before I kill you, I want you to watch. And then he throws her back into his own home, where she is hoisted up and pinned onto the door frame. He loves bringing people back to this desert space, back where he has like his own house like deconstructed, and it's just like the nightmare version of his home. Well, he's brought her back here too, and she's looking around and she can see, all the other kids that he's killed that are also like tied up like this. And she also sees Vecna then carrying in Max, and 11 is calling out, saying, Papa is dead, and I know what he did to you. He is the monster, Henry, not you. And Vecna's saying, he was just a mediocre man. He sought greatness in you and me. He couldn't control us, though. He didn't make me into this. You did. So he's calling her the monster, really. And he explains how he wasn't in purgatory. He was somewhere new. He became an explorer of a real real world unspoiled by mankind. So he created this space for himself, and he's the god here, right? Is essentially what he's saying. And we can see him then in this moment. We're getting this flashback of him first connecting with the Mind Flayer, because you see like all these, as we know, it was referred to as the shadow, right, by the Russians, because all they saw was this spinning black void, these particles. So you saw all these particles coming together to form this spider-like creature we've all come to know as the Mind Flayer, as his vision of what this has been, right? And we saw him also then, there's this flash of him drawing this out as a child. And so it's kind of this point which Eric and I think
let's
will talk about.
Pause here for a moment and discuss this. Go ahead. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, because I was, kind of before we started recording, Eric and I were talking about this a little bit, because this has been this point where it's like, so wait, did Henry was drawing the Mind Flayer before he saw it as a child? He was drawing this out. So did he create it? But no, he didn't create the Mind Flayer. We're thinking, I know part of, and what Eric had kind of mentioned is that this is maybe how he's manifested this these particles to appear before him. Yeah. But the particles, it's really more the Mind Flayer. It's kind of like how people talk about God, I suppose, is that it's like this idea, or this maybe I shouldn't get too religious here, not that Eric or I are really I'm getting off the rails here, but either way, it's like what his how he conceptualized this energy, right?
So what I would say is we see him exploring this new realm where he is finding this shadow being. I'm going to refer to it as the shadow because that's what the Russians were calling it, because they still had this swirling black cloud structure kind of pinned behind glass. And he finds it, and he understands that this thing will be able to give him the power to be the predator that he always wanted to be. I think that's one of his lines in here at some point. And what I envision here is I'm running with Dustin's commentary from a few episodes back, where Dustin was saying the Mind Flayer is in control. Vecna / Henry is the 5-star general. So what I think is very much a team-oriented scenario where this energy is the thing that's in control. That is the piece that is telling Vecna how to act and what to do. But Vecna is able to craft it through his abilities into a structure or a being that is more palatable to him. Something that he is more secure being around. And we see him drawing these spider pictures, and we see him saving the Black Widow spiders under the floorboards, and we have seen this theme throughout with the spider. And so having him craft the Mind Flayer into a spider doesn't make Vecna create the Mind Flayer. I believe it just shapes the Mind Flayer into a visual that is more suitable for him, more so he can be more comfortable with it. And yet the Mind Flayer, once they pair up, is the one in control of all of the things, as the Mind Flayer is in control of whatever it attaches to. So once they attach, that's the case.
And I think that explanation works really well with the show standing on its own. One thing that I did learn after finishing the series in the final season, because I had a few questions, and then my husband and I were watching like behind the scenes, and the Duffer Brothers brought up, because I kept hearing about this Broadway play of Stranger Things, and actually we have friends that saw it and really liked it, but that the play actually goes way deeper into the Creel story on its own. And there was even a comment made, which I know which is why Eric just gave a sigh.
Gosh. I have a thought here.
The Duffer Brothers did say at one point, well, it's they described it as supplemental to the story.
Yes.
But really which is fine, but certain details, what I learned, because I've done an overview of that, is that you kind of like this piece with Henry drawing out the Mind Flayer, it really makes a whole lot more sense when you know that storyline. So I feel like while the explanation you just gave, Eric, works, I think that this with the play, though, it's like, oh, yeah, which I don't want to fully get into that until we get into the series finale of Stranger Things, but it just gives more of a Henry Creel background that could lend itself to a more thorough explanation, which I like that. I like that as well. So I
will say my piece here on the play. Okay. Anytime that you are watching a TV show and they say, or a movie, and they're like, oh, but you really have to watch this other thing also to get this movie. I'm sorry. No. Like, this is the show. Give me all the details that I need to know in the show. If it's not required, then I'm going to make what I want to make of it as I'm watching the show. I equated this to Star Wars. Star Wars has so many other plot lines with The Mandalorian and the Clone Wars and go on forever. There's books. These plot lines are supplemental to the universe of Star Wars, but they also cancel each other out in a number of different places. So,
absolutely right. Yeah,
these
contradict each other.
So the idea of bringing in a Broadway play specifically of all things, not like another Netflix series or something else, but you didn't see the play in person? Well, then you don't know this storyline? Get out of here. I'm not having that. No, I'm watching this show. This is the show. I'm making what I make of it based on what I see on my TV screen. And if that is narrow-minded, so be it.
No, I think that makes sense. And I think that the way that they did this, though, you can do both things, right? Like, I think that you can watch the series and fully get it and have it make sense, but then also watch the play and have it sort of unlock this other part of the storyline that it's like, oh, okay, cool. That's cool, too. So I think both can work.
I
think Eric, I have heard...
I will agree. I will agree to that. Like, if you watch the other supplemental material, it could give you a better understanding of some things, but I also, like I said, I think sometimes these things start contradicting each other more than they help. And then when that's happening, it's like, well, what are the pieces I'm supposed to take? And people just take the pieces that they want to take and make the story that they want to make instead of what the story is. So I try to keep everything kind of in a vacuum. And if you watch the play and the play is the play, I'm still going to keep the play in its own lane, and I'm going to keep the show in this lane. And there can be some connections, but I don't love the idea that you have to then say, well, but you didn't see this other thing? That's how it really shows you. Like, Marvel does that. There's like a whole metaverse of Marvel, but then there's like all these other, like, oh, you didn't see the Christmas release? Well, that would have told you about the whatever. I'm sorry, what? Like, come on, guys. I'm not doing it.
So, but Eric, I did hear that the play, you can find it online. So I don't know. I might try to find it for us, now. And we might need to watch it after we're done with the series because. God. Hey, listen! We are doing a deep dive here.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem watching it. I like plays. Plays are great, but if you're gonna try to get me to like connect the dots and be like, well, that's the perfect answer now, I don't know. I'm leaving this in its own bucket, and then I move on to the play and put it in its own thing.
All right. Well, that's fair. It just, this whole thing with Henry, we got on this discussion before we started recording because I'm like, what's up with Henry drawing the spider thing before he even saw it? And this does give this other explanation, but I also do appreciate that it's like, hey, you have to, you create your own, like, this is an image that he was comfortable with. And so while he didn't create the Mind Flayer was there before Vecna. He did create maybe this one interpretation of the Mind Flayer that he has now pushed forward.
For what it's worth, that's just me interpreting that on a rewatch. If any of you have other interpretations of this scene, because I feel like of all the scenes in this entire episode, this scene can be interpreted in a number of different ways. And I would love to hear what some of your interpretations of this scene might be. If you want to throw a comment on this episode, or if you want to find one of our more recent shorts and throw something down on there, like, would love to hear it. And I will absolutely comment back with you.
Yeah, it's, I think that we would love to hear, any number of opinions on this. It's like, this is, again, I really had not thought as, deeply into this as we are now recording the podcast, and it definitely adds more to the storyline. I think also on a rewatch you're able to really delve deeper into a lot of these thoughts, because it's like you don't know really where it's going yet. Like we hadn't quite understood where the whole storyline was going. So I feel like once you understand the conclusion, then on a rewatch, it's like, oh yeah, kind of like peeling back the layers.
It can help you connect the dots. When you see the end and then you can come back to this, you can go, oh yeah. Okay, so these are how these dots are connected. And I don't know that I would have interpreted it the same way without having seen season 5, but that's what I'm doing.
Right.
And I cannot tell you how much I love Dustin's explanation a couple episodes ago, where he lays really the whole thing out, and it bothers me still that people argued over that all the way through season 5, and I forgot that scene existed, and on a rewatch I'm catching it going, hey, arrows right here, this is it. Like we knew this, we saw this.
So I guess what we've talked about with, like, you know, the way that people view things now by looking down and half paying attention, maybe they needed to repeat that, like, I don't know, every 2 episodes. So,
I said that to my daughter when she started watching this. I'm like, hey, I just want to let you know, this is not a show that you watch with your phone in your hand. Like, there are some that you can do that with, but this isn't one of them.
Yeah. So we then get back to the storyline where, so we have, you know, we saw this flashback of little Henry drawing the Mind Flayer, but then we're back with Vecna talking to 11 and telling her that she opened the gate and let him in, but then resisted. So in other words, like, she opened this gate, but now she doesn't want a part of it. Like, he kind of wants people to join him here. Let's just hang out in this desert space. That's great. So he sought a means then to open his own doors. And he's talking, because now we're seeing flashes back to last season too, where he's saying he worked through Billy and the others. And Vecna's telling her that she's freed him once again. He's saying, it's over. And you and your friends, you guys have lost. So he's really trying to beat her down at this point mentally, right? Because that's really where his control is, and just take all the hope and drive right out of 11 and saying, like, it's done. Like, you might as well just give up, right? Like, he has her tied up with his tentacles things, like, against the door, and is just like, just give up. Well, then we have this flashback to, because remember, we had Steve and Robin and Nancy all being held against the wall in the Creel house as well, in the Upside Down. And you just get this flash of they're still being pinned down. So it was kind of just a reminder of where they're at. Meanwhile, Vecna is still telling 11 that he wants her to watch what he's about to do to Max. And he's telling Max, just don't resist. It'll all be over soon.
I think you also get flashes at that moment of Lucas, and you get flashes of Eddie and Dustin at that point too, because they're all going through some tough times as this is all happening.
And Eric will get more into,
and I'll get into those a little bit in a moment. But
details,
it's something. But you know what, Mike, coming to the rescue here in a little bit.
That's right. Because Mike is looking at 11 and being like, something's going, like, this is not good. He could tell that she was losing her fight just from what he could see on the other side. And so he's pulling her out of the tub and trying to wake her up. And Mike is telling her that he's there and he loves her. And he keeps saying it over and over again. And, you know, he's saying that his life started when they found her in the woods. And you have this really cute flashback moment to when they saw 11 for the very first time and the giant t-shirt and in the pouring rain. And he's saying, you're my superhero and I can't lose you. You can do anything, but right now you need to fight. And he just keeps repeating that over and over again, like, fight, 11, fight. And this gets through to 11. So despite what Vecna was trying to do, taking out all of her hope, well, Mike is just there with the heart, as Willa described.
Yeah, you know, and Will said right before he started telling her all this, he's like, hey, you're the heart. Like,
that's right.
And so Mike went into this whole thing and it was awesome.
It was great. It was so great. I love that moment so much where Mike is like pep talking 11 back into getting this energy back. It's so great. Because then you see that tentacle around 11's neck and her arms all start to loosen, fall off, and 11 is right back there just before Vecna could really do damage to Max. And 11 is screaming and blows Vecna back right off of Max and then against a wall. And Max then drops to the ground. And we also see Nancy, Steve, and Robin all dropping from the wall as well. And Robin is all like, that was a miracle.
Them dropping from the wall is also being coordinated with the flamethrower from Russia.
Yes.
Let's not forget. This is where this is coming in. So these things are all happening together.
Okay, right, because
hive mind.
So it's like, right, so it's like, was it, I guess, Eric, that's interesting because when I was watching this, I was thinking that was purely from 11 screaming and holding Vecna back. But no. I guess was it also the timing that Murray just happened to be using the flamethrower at the same time?
I think there is
11.
So no, I think there is like a small gap here where Vecna is being held back against the wall, and that's when we see Murray lighten these people up, and then like the bats are all falling to the ground, and the vines are all letting go, and so it is all coming together. Where this flamethrower is like dealing with the foot soldiers, if you will, of this whole thing, where 11 is holding on to Vecna.
That's some fortunate timing. Then.
It is very fortunate that it all starts swinging around together.
Well, Robin is saying phase 4 flambe, and 11
pick it back
is still holding Vecna to this post thing, and Steve and Nancy and Robin are all approaching Vecna's hibernating body, because remember, this is where they are gonna just light him up, and they light up their Molotov cocktails, and Steve gives the first throw, and Vecna is just up in flames. And even 11, because you see 11 with Max in the desert space looking at Vecna, and even she's like, what's happening? Because there's just smoke everywhere, and you see this desert space start to change, and everything is disappearing around them. And Robin is then throwing the next flambe, the next Molotov cocktail, and then Nancy is then shooting with her sawed-off shotgun into Vecna as well. And Nancy then, with one of her shots, blows Vecna right out of the window, and he lands in flames outside. We also hear the clock still going, and Steve, Nancy, and Robin hear it too. So they run back inside trying to see where is this coming from. But just then, there's also this giant rift that starts to form, and it is splitting the ground. And it is just massive, going in all directions in Hawkins. And we realize this is the real world. Like, you're seeing the ground split at first in the upside down, but no, then it's also in the real world. And we get this final moment with 11 in the black space then touching Max, which Eric will circle back to on more of the Max details. But 11 is trying to really remember all of their shared, like, positive memories together. And Eric, I don't want to really finish that thought until you talk more about their story.
We'll go farther here. By the way, like, if there was ever a point for season 3, people who hate season 3, like, all those positive memories that are being shared are all from season 3. Like, it's great.
Right.
But anyway, so I'm going to reorder here based on what we've said. So we're going to do Lucas and Jason next here. And Lucas, Jason, Max, because I feel like that makes a little bit more sense based on where we've kind of left things. So we remember Jason was left up in the attic. He is there with Lucas, like, gun pointed, and they are kind of having this stare down. And Jason is trying to get Lucas to give him the real story. And Lucas is saying, listen, there is no cult. There never was a cult. And then Jason is saying, well, then why was Chrissy at Eddie's trailer? Like, he's still trying to figure that out. And Lucas is saying, she's buying drugs. And he's like, no, she wasn't. You're wrong about that. And Lucas is coming back with, no, you're wrong about Eddie. And they just keep going back and forth with Jason being upset that he even opened the door for Lucas to join, like, the cool kids club. And Lucas is now coming full circle with, I never should have knocked, which I thought was important because we debated early on in this season, is Lucas doing the right thing? And there was definitely some, like, no, he's not. And I remember saying, like, listen, I understand it. I get why he's doing it. I don't know that it was the right thing. And at this point, Lucas is now turning around on that whole idea. But I do get why he did it in the first place.
Absolutely. Right.
But now, after everything that's happened, Lucas is coming around on this. And so
he's having some regrets.
Yeah, he sure is. And so Jason is holding him at gunpoint and essentially is looking for one more piece of information. But Lucas just dives at Jason and knocks the gun loose. And we have this big fight scene break out. And Erica, at the same time, is outside breaking free of the friend who has, like, chased her down and is starting to run back to the house. And now we have
the gunshot. Yeah. He was, like, startled. Yeah.
So we now have a number of Lucas and Jason fighting sequences that kind of happen throughout. So I'm just going to say they were fighting throughout this whole scenario until we get to a point where Lucas actually knocks out Jason. He lands a final blow at this point to knock him out cold, just as he's watching Max get levitated off the ground, which we've all now seen a number of times, and as Amanda has detailed through her description. And we start seeing her arms breaking. And then we see, as
brutal,
as Amanda has mentioned, Max drops to the ground because Vecna was thrown against that post. And this moment is then the moment, really, with Max and Lucas, where Max's eyes are pure white. And she's saying to Lucas, I can't feel or see anything. I don't want to die. Elle is watching this from the black space, from the tightrope. And she is standing there or sitting with them as Lucas and Max are having this back and forth. And then Max fades. And this is where the crevices that Amanda detailed start to form, as we now have the fourth death. And even Nancy and Steve, they're all saying like, oh, Max, because that's 4. And now the bell has rung, and now we're seeing these crevices rip through. And not only do they rip through, but one of them forms right where Max is, because they're all forming from the death locations, and they are heading into the middle of Hawkins, and one of them rips right through Jason. So Jason gone at this point.
Jason, wow. Yeah, really right where Lucas had knocked him out. You just see his body just split right in half. It was pretty intense. But that whole exchange with Max and Lucas.
Well, we still have at this point Lucas in tears, yelling for Erica to get help. And Erica is trying to like get an ambulance or something together at this point. She's come up, seen it, and is headed back down to try and get some sort of help. But Lucas is holding on to Max, and Elle is still watching them. And then 11 says, no, you're not going. And that's when she is putting her hands on Max and infusing her with all of these positive memories, as Amanda was saying in the last one.
Yes.
And so she is trying to keep her from dying.
Yeah,
we'll leave it
really
there.
Incredible. Yeah, really incredible acting. I loved just seeing what both Lucas and Max did in that scene. It was great. Even the guy who plays Jason, like the whole scene was awesome. Even
the whole sequence was phenomenal. And I mean, Max was dealing with Vecna, right? But really in the attic, like, they're in the real world. They're the only ones who are not in the Upside Down. They are still dealing with a lot of emotion at this point. Even Jason is still struggling with, well, why was Chrissy even at his place? You know? And so this is still just, no one is understanding. Lucas is doing the best he can to try and explain it to someone who's never heard any of this before. And of course, then he is very emotional with Max, and that is a heartbreaking moment. Well, now we're going to jump into Eddie and Dustin's little scene where they have their own heartbreaking moment, as Dustin is dropping back into the Upside Down because we've left Eddie biking away from the RV, from the camper that they were, the mobile home that they were living in. He is on his bike, pedaling, pun intended, like a bat out of hell. And he is having all of these bats chasing after him. And so Dustin's dropping back in, and Eddie is hearing, as he is biking away, he's hearing just flashbacks of himself. Like, you know, I just ran and left her there. Or, hey, we're not the heroes. Don't worry about it. And Eddie stops. And he turns. And he decides this is the time that he's not going to be the one that runs.
Yeah.
He is going to be the hero. And so he holds up his trash can with all the spikes that they built. And the swarm of bats just comes powering through him as he's taken out as many as he can. And he is literally fighting a tornado of these upside down bats. And Dustin is searching for Eddie. He's yelling out for Eddie, trying to find where he is. Meanwhile, Eddie is continuing to distract all of these bats. And then out of nowhere, all of the bats just die. And we know that that is connected to the flamethrower from Murray. And so as the vines are now in pain and the bats are all dead and the demos are all cooked, like all the foot soldiers seemingly have gone away. And as Amanda detailed in the first part, this is what allows Nancy and Steve to get up into the attic. But here, Dustin gets to Eddie, and Eddie is in bad shape. And he's saying to Dustin, hey, I didn't run away this time, right? And then he tells him, you're going to have to look after them for me, right? Like, it's my year, Henderson. It's finally my year. And then, I love you, man. And they're just kind of having this moment. Dustin can barely get words out. And he's trying to figure out how he can save Eddie, but there's no way here. Like, he's taken too much. And Eddie dies at this moment in Dustin's arms. And
oh my God.
That is the end of our Eddie and Dustin sequence.
It was just so heartbreaking, this whole scene. It's like Eddie really just wanted to not run away and he wanted to do his part. And part of me is like, man, if they had just if they were able to just fend them off in the trailer for a little while longer, like if they had just barricaded that ceiling, he would have made it. It's like, it didn't have to go down this way, but I also, he didn't want to run. And so I appreciate that. He really wanted to keep Dustin safe. He wanted to protect him. But yeah, it's like really they were dive bombing him way more. Like we saw Steve getting attacked at the beginning, a few episodes back. And he was even stabbed pretty badly in the stomach. But then he had his friends to help fend them off. Whereas like, Eddie was really on his own here.
He was on his own, and there were way more bats. Like
way more.
The debate I think for this whole scene is, did it even have to happen? Like Eddie could have gone through the ceiling up, right, and run into regular Hawkins. Although I question, would not all the bats have just followed him up? Like, is that a thing that they would have done? Or would they have all just been trapped there? And if they were trapped there, that's one thing. Or if he had gone up, would they have just made their way back to Vecna, making it infinitely more difficult for Steve and Robin and them to achieve what they were trying to achieve?
I think that was his thought, right.
So he makes the decision that he thinks he can make. And in all honesty, if he had stayed on the bike maybe a minute or two longer, they all might have just dropped dead behind him. But he didn't. And he took pride in wanting to fight and not just be the runner. And like part of his dying words are like, hey, I didn't run, right? I didn't run this time. And so there is something to that. But this
should have built their own armor too. It's like, what if they had like better protection? Like if he had been wearing like part of what they strapped the house with, like some type of steel armor. I don't know.
And I'll tell you what,
there's so many things.
I will not forget, after watching season 4, the fan reaction to Eddie's death was overwhelming. Like people were trying to script ways to get him into season 5. Yes, like how could we explain this away and trying to get him into season 5? But at this point he is now gone, and we have now wrapped up all of this to get to the heading 2 days later. And as we are getting to 2 days later, we are watching the California boys and Elle driving into Hawkins while there is a mass exodus of people leaving Hawkins. I will not forget, there was a moment in my life where I was driving into a city that was about to get hit with a hurricane so I could be there for a funeral, and everybody was leaving. And I was the only one driving the other way. And it was quite something. Oh, my
God.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was, listen, it was in Long Island. Like, everyone was leaving, and there was a hurricane coming, and everyone was heading out, but I was heading in.
Eric,
and
I don't remember having that visual of everyone leaving, but yeah, that does make sense.
Well, and I think it also depends on which way everyone's going, because everyone could be going not always in the same direction, but
yeah.
Then we're hearing them talk about on the news the 7.4 magnitude earthquake and a natural disaster of near unprecedented scale, and all these deaths, the death toll going up. And, people are talking about it being a doorway into hell. Well, we'll see how this all shakes out. But this is what the news is reporting. We get into a opportunity at the Wheeler house where I think Nancy is packing up some stuff, if I remember correctly. But that's irregardless. They walk out into the driveway, and the gang finally, for the first time, all comes together as we have Jonathan and Will and Mike and 11 all show up in the driveway where Nancy and Steve and Robin are all there waiting. And so we finally get all of them together, including Mrs. Wheeler, who is telling Mike things like, "You're never going anywhere ever again."
Right.
And we also get this moment with Jonathan and Nancy where they are like, half apologizing to each other, and they're so happy that the other one is okay. And Nancy's trying to tell Jonathan everything that happened. And Jonathan's like, "Yeah, don't worry. I'm in the know. I know way more than you think." And so, like, the stories that are about to be shared between all of these people, I can only imagine. I would have loved to have sat there and listened to them share them. And I just wrote down, poor Steve. Because as this is all going down, you just get a quick look at Steve walking away with Robin, and it's like, oh, sad.
Yeah, didn't quite work out the way that Steve wanted it to.
And so and Dustin is also there. That's who I was missing, because it's then Mike and Will and Dustin are all coming together, and they go, "Where's Lucas?" And Dustin has that, "Oh, you don't know?"
Right.
And so now we go to the hospital, and Lucas is there with Max, who's all like connected to all these different machines. And Mike and Will show up at the hospital with Elle, Jonathan, and Nancy.
And Erica was there too.
And Erica was also there. That's true. Yeah. And Lucas is saying, "Well, she died, but then she came back, and they don't know how, and they say this is a miracle, but she was dead for at least a minute." And so Elle is then coming over and sitting next to where Lucas was, and she puts her hand on Max, and then she goes kind of into the black space and is searching for Max, and you see 11 just yelling, "Max, Max," trying to find Max's thoughts, and it is empty. Now we switch over to where the high school is, and that's what they were doing at the house. I couldn't remember. They were putting boxes together to donate things to the high school.
Right. There's a lot of people in need. Yeah.
So we now have the older kids over at the high school. Steve and Robin. Nancy and Jonathan are at the...
Oh, no. Dustin is there, too.
Dustin goes as well. Dustin goes as well. But Jonathan and Nancy went to the hospital. So I guess it's not the older kids. That was a bad description. It's Steve, Robin, and Dustin. Jonathan and Nancy and Elle went to the hospital. There we go.
Yeah.
And they're just donating all these boxes and looking around at all this chaos that's going on, because now the high school is basically turned into an entire shelter for people. And Robin is taking the lead here, saying, "Hey, listen, we want to help. Like, what can we do?" And they just all kind of get assigned to things. And Robin, of course, gets assigned to a peanut butter and jelly making station that Vicky is at. And Vicky, who we were calling, what was it?
Oh my goodness. Now her name is Molly Ringwald.
We were calling her
Molly Ringwald.
Molly Ringwald lookalike. Vicky is now there making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches next to Robin in this very cute scene where Vicky is just rambling on about all kinds of chaos, very Robin-esque. And ends up making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich with 2 peanut butters. And she's talking about the boyfriend, but not really talking about the boyfriend. It's very confusing, but she's just...
And her boyfriend broke up.
They did. There's a lot of just nervous energy. And I think Robin is happy about all of it. Just being in her presence.
Sometimes my mouth moves faster than my brain, and if I can't stop, no matter how hard I try, it just like goes off the rails, and she's just like flipping out. Robin's like, oh yeah, I can relate to this, is what she's clearly thinking. Yeah.
And meanwhile, again, camera pans over, and Steve is just watching this all go down with a smile on his face.
Yes.
Dustin then has a very big scene where they show this board of people that are missing. And on the board is a picture of Eddie, which someone has drawn some like devil horns or some sort of chaos onto, because the uncle is continuing to put pictures up looking for Eddie. But the town does not care for Eddie at this point. Yeah,
because Eric, earlier when they were like showing everyone leaving Hawkins, one of the things that was sort of on the news channel that was playing throughout the background is that the town is still blaming the Hellfire Club and Eddie Munson for everything that's happened.
But he's presumed
Eddie
dead.
is now presumed dead. Exactly. Yes. But it's like they're still using that explanation as to why now they have a giant rift across the ground. That plus an earthquake. It's like both things they're claiming is now what's at the root cause of this devastation. But okay, had to mention that there.
With all that, there is a very nice scene here that I couldn't possibly give enough detail to.
That's so nice.
Eddie's uncle is very frustrated with how obviously the town hates him and all these things. And Dustin says to him, you know, I was with Eddie at the earthquake and he went down fighting. He fought for this town, even when no one believed in him, even when no one in this town had his back. He went down fighting to protect the town. He's a hero. And he showed him his necklace, and he gave him the necklace that Eddie was wearing. The guitar pick necklace. Yeah. And tells him as many details as he can without giving real, actual stories about the Upside Down and fighting bats and things like that. And you can see the uncle is just half relieved, very appreciative of Dustin's story. And I think obviously upset, but there's got to be something in now he has a confirmation. He knows. Yeah, he now knows what happened. And that has to be calming to some extent. It would be the not knowing that would drive you insane. And so now he has a real story and something that is positive, also more positive than he probably ever could have dreamt. And so from here, we switch over to Hopper's cabin, which is still a huge disaster from season 3, where the roof was ripped off it. And so by like the mini mind flare that was walking all over the place. And so Hopper's cabin is absolutely crushed, and the gang kind of makes their way up there because they've got to hide 11 somewhere. And so they start picking things up, and what was it? We have a moment where Jonathan and Nancy are like hammering up a board to cover the windows on the outside. And Jonathan says something like, oh, well, I'm really glad you were here. I mean, who else would have been in charge? Steve? And she says, well, he's actually grown up quite a bit, And it's like, oh man, like, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? I got a huge kick out of 11 going into her bedroom to clean up stuff and then throwing the door closed with her hand, but leaving it open 3 inches. Did you catch that?
That's right.
Like, thought that was a nice touch.
Good timing too.
Yes. And then we also get a moment with Will, where Will now has the tingles on the back of his neck.
Oh, this is not good.
And he's like, he says something along the lines of having to kill him and knowing that, like, hey, it's not over. Like, now that I'm back here, I can
but
feel
he's alive.
It. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then we have this car.
Yeah, because Will is talking to Mike, right? And he's saying he's not going to stop until he's taken everything and everyone.
That's right.
And it's like, okay, I'm glad that Will is at least sharing with Mike right away what's happening here. It's like, he's not going to just keep this inside for
Thank God,
longer.
right?
Like,
can we at least share some information?
Yes, yeah.
So then, 11 is in the room cleaning stuff up. She finds a bottle under the bed, which she was remembering with Max, where they would spin the bottle to see who she was going to, like, go into the mind of, which was kind of crazy. And Elle goes again looking for Max and nothing, emptiness.
Yeah.
Only to then have at the door, we have these heavy footsteps and Hopper arrives at the door and sees Elle, and Elle is beside herself at this point, and they have this big embrace, and then she's like, hey, your hair, and he's like, well, your hair, like both of them have these like shaved heads at this point. Yeah. And I think Hopper says, he's like, yeah, bitchin', and they have this moment together. And she's telling him that she always kept the door open 3 inches. And, it's just a very nice scene connecting the two of them. Only for Hopper to lead 11 outside and for Joyce to be there. And then 11 embraces with Joyce as we see the agent who was on the phone, where that's how they got the ride back.
Eric, I have to pause here for a sec. How 11 went, and because she can really reach anyone that she wants to, like, find anyone. Do you think she must have tried to look for Hopper? I'm just thinking of this real time.
I mean,
like, what
you would think,
right? Like, she must have tried.
You would imagine that she did at some point. And
right? I don't know.
I mean,
she
maybe
just
there's
been, like, at face value, like, oh, he's dead. Oh well.
Maybe I don't know. It doesn't seem like there's a geographical like cap to her abilities, but that would be the farthest. No one's been
tried to look for Joyce even too when they couldn't get in touch with them. Like, I don't know.
Well, that was different. Like, or you're talking about afterwards at the end?
Yeah, like in this last season, like try to connect with Joyce.
No. Like in the last season, like Joyce was on a work trip.
Yeah.
Oh, and she was also doing all this training throughout the whole thing too. So I don't blame her for not looking for Joyce. The question would be, did she look for Hopper between seasons 3 and 4? Mm-hmm, that would be the time that she would have been looking for him.
Yeah.
That being said, they got the ride back from the agent, and then Hopper and Mike also have a nice little moment here together.
Yes.
Where he says, I think Hopper says, man, you got bigger. And Mike says, you got smaller.
Yes. Yeah, I think 11 even said something like, you got not fat to him or something. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing is, I think in season 3, they wanted him to look much bigger and out of shape. It was a very different vibe for Hopper, like almost season 1, episode 1 style. And then in season 4, he's in this prison. He's surviving off water. He has to have lost a ton of weight here. Like, that's it. So Hop and Mike have a nice little moment. And then Will can again feel it. And then the particles from the upside down just start falling everywhere in real Hawkins. Like, this is side up Hawkins. Yeah. And everyone's like, it's no, yeah, there are kids in the town and they're showing all these other people who have never experienced this before. Like, oh, what is going on now? And meanwhile, the group that we know is like, oh my God, what is happening? As these particles are falling everywhere. And they make their way out of the woods to this like grass hilltop, which I find very interesting because they're pairing them all off, and they have Hopper and Joyce standing next to each other, and they have Jonathan and Nancy standing next to each other, and then they have Will and Mike standing next to each other as 11 kind of steps into the front in front of all of them all by herself. And as she is doing that, where she is kind of where the grass is like just dying up to here. And so everything is just crumbling and dying around them, forming all this ash. And then we just see in the distance this storm that we are like used to seeing at this point as a symbol of the Upside Down, except we're not in the Upside Down anymore. We are in Hawkins, and this is how our show comes to a close.
Yeah, it's apocalyptic looking. It does not look good at all. I loved, Eric, how they had these vibrant wildflowers all over the hill, and then it was like it zoomed in on like, here's the line of like dead flowers, dead grass, and then like devastation beyond that. And it's like, oh yeah, this is really bad.
And I think
like everything just got dark.
This sort of ending was so great because it really left everybody excited about season 5. Like, what are you going to do now? Like, the town is literally crumbling. What is happening in season 5?
Yes.
And I'll say this, season 4 is my favorite season easily. I think it's most people's favorite season. And they never got the gang all together. Even in the very end, when everybody started coming together again, still, we never
Lucas
got like
Max,
Hopper and Joyce with Lucas and Max ever. I don't think Lucas could have shot most of his scenes on his own with like one or two other castmates, for a lot of this. There were a lot of times where he was kind of the one that was all by himself, or he had Max levitating up in the sky around him.
Right.
He probably didn't even interact with half of the cast for this season.
Right. Yeah. Oh, which kind of reminds me, there was that one moment going back to that scene, because I loved, just when I think of the finale here, the two moments that really I think of the most are the fight scene between Lucas and Jason.
Yeah.
And also the scene with Dustin and Eddie. And even those are like shorter, really, when we look at what actually happened in this episode.
You talking about
they're quicker flashes between them, but
remember, we broke this into two. So if I'm going with it, it is Lucas and Max in the attic with the fight scene, and then the way she comes down. And also it is Eddie's rock concert on top of
that's right.
Those moments stand out more than any. They are so awesome.
They're so great. But one thing that I think that maybe is that what spurred Lucas into really taking Jason down was he looked over when Jason approached at one point and he stepped on the tape deck. And it was like, oh my God, now her music is gone too. And then they were like continuing on fighting, and
I think it's part. It was part of that, and it was
bad.
Also the fact that he saw Max levitating off the ground and was like, "This is the moment. Like, we got to stop it right now. Like, I do not have any more time." And kind of like, you hear the mother who will like flip a car over if their child is pinned underneath it. Like, that's the same. All of a sudden, you get all this adrenaline from out of nowhere, and like that's the moment. So more a moment of true love than any other in this episode or in any episode of Stranger Things. So for sure.
Yeah. but I forgot kind of how quickly though Jason just got split into by the floor opening up. I was like, okay, and now he's gone.
That was very easily dealt with. Like, you just happen to be laying in a very specific spot. Well, now we're going to jump into our IMDb ratings episode, or section of this episode rather, where we talk about our ratings versus your ratings as we find them on IMDb, and our favorite and least favorite characters. Last week we didn't really give them. We didn't talk about our ratings, and we talked about kind of a list of characters that we were kind of keeping an eye on as this episode comes to a close. But now it's decision time. And so I know on our Friends podcast earlier this week, I was the one who went first. So Amanda, I will let you go first here. The final episode. Who is your favorite or least favorite character? Go for it.
All right. I'm going to go for Eddie for my favorite for this finale. I loved what Eddie did here, even though, we kind of talked about, did he have to die? Maybe not. Maybe if they had planned differently, he didn't have to. Maybe if he had kept riding his bike, he didn't have to. But I just felt like he really showed to have real heroic behavior here. He really wanted to help the whole team despite just learning about all of this. He was just right with the group. And I loved what Dustin said about him to his uncle too, about listen, I wish everyone had really gotten to know Eddie because they would have loved him. And in the end, he never stopped being Eddie despite everything. I never saw him get mad. And when you really think about his character, it's no matter what he went through, he was frustrated, he was upset, he was scared, but he never really got mad, got vengeful. He just wanted to have his name cleared and to be safe. But yeah, he just really showed great character. Loved Eddie. Totally get why people wanted him to come back. But I like that they made him this wonderful, memorable character. But also had a great intro, and then also had him end as a hero, so that was really cool.
It was the completion of his character arc, right? The idea of turning around and being the hero and being the one that kind of saves the plan a little bit. I totally understand why people wanted him to be someone that was a comeback character for season 5, especially since he is the first character that's really been part of the Upside Down crew that died.
Yes.
Exactly. The only other one, or the last one that died, was Bob. And Bob really wasn't in the know until the very end. No. And you can still argue that he wasn't really in the know even at the end. It never really was clear how much he knew. And so Stranger Things has gone a long way with seeing, the Jason character die, or some of these other characters die, but not our hero characters. They have not died very much. It's
it's tough, I feel to be that side character, to learn it all. I feel because he loved D&D so much, that allowed him to kind of get integrated into this group that much faster.
Yeah.
Right. But it was tough to pick a favorite. I feel everyone did such amazing things during this episode. I could see an argument for really anyone.
There is you're not wrong. There are so many good things that came from this. I want to, when I talk about my favorite character, I had Eddie on a very short list. I had Dustin on a short list as well, especially with the scene with the uncle at the end. 11 was there for sure. Will, I had, and Steve largely for the first half of this episode, less for the second. Mike, though, could have been a favorite character based on what he was saying.
Yes.
And when it's all said and done, when I think of this episode on the whole, who did I want to root for? Who was I with more often than not? It was Lucas. And so I'm putting Lucas as my favorite character for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. He had such amazing moments. That last moment with him and Matt, well, not the last moment, but when they were in the attic in the end where he's holding her and she's saying that she's so scared. Oh my gosh. It is such good acting too. I mean, that was an awesome scene.
I mean, the discussion he has with her, then there's the stretch that he has where she has now died and he's still holding on to her, and he is just like bawling and screaming out. Like, it is so powerful. It's really great. I love that scene from him so much. That's easily one of the top 3 scenes I remember, as I mentioned that actually a little bit earlier. That between Eddie's rock concert, and then the third thing that I remember is literally them standing on the hill looking at a destroyed Hawkins. I think that's an incredibly powerful visual that that we're left with. So I'm going to go with Lucas. I'll continue and just roll into my least favorite here. I have my least favorite as Jonathan. It is not necessarily because he did anything. He didn't have a lot going on in the very last episode. He had some more stuff in the previous episodes. But I put Jonathan there largely because of the scene with hammering up the board and saying things like, oh, what are you going to do? Leave Steve in charge? Like, I feel like they should be past that at this point.
Yeah.
I feel like Jonathan and Steve have moved beyond that. I mean, if Eddie and Steve can like come to terms over Dustin, I'd like to think that Jonathan and Steve could have figured out a reasonable working relationship at this point. But it doesn't seem like Jonathan has allowed that to happen. So here we are.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say that Steve has either, but he didn't really vocalize it in this. He just kind of let Jonathan and Nancy have their moment and walked away. And I think that's much better than what Jonathan did. So I'll take Jonathan as my least favorite.
Well, I went with Henry Creel, Vecna 1, as the least favorite character. Listen, I realize this is kind of obvious, but he's kind of the worst, okay? Like, he's all Darth Vader in this episode. In this series, really, he is the Darth Vader, and he's chosen the dark side. He tried to manipulate R11, okay? Like, this was very, like, because even though he wants to be all dark sidey, like, he also wants friends in his dark side. He doesn't want to be alone over there. He wants to recruit other people to live in the dark side with him. And it's just not going to happen, buddy. And this is not good. Even, I appreciated what 11 was trying to do, where she's like, it's Papa, he's the monster. And he just kept going down his dark sidey path with trying to say, no, you're the monster, like, you did this to me. And it's like, oh my God, like, that was the moment, right? Like, I kind of wish we had been able to pull Vecna back. I think that could have been a really cool way to end. Well, I don't want to get into next season, but it's like, that would have been a cool way to just, like, if they wanted to end the series with this season, I think that could have been a cool alternate ending. But like, what could have happened if 11 could have brought him back, I hear what
you're saying, but I'm not gonna, like, I don't want to make Vecna my least favorite because, and I think that you're not wrong, but like, Vecna's doing Vecna things. Like, that's what he does.
Vecna's being too Vecna, okay?
So like, I'm okay with that. I have more issues when it comes to, like, when Jason is, in one way, he's doing what he should be doing, but then in some episodes, he was, like, off the rails intense, And so there is something about, I'm more apt to give it to a character like Jason than I am Vecna, because he's just doing what he does. He's just doing his thing.
Hey,
he's just doing what he does. Aren't we all?
If that was the excuse, hey, I don't know. A lot of people get away with a lot of things. But.
Well, maybe. I'm not saying, hey, listen, this is not real life. not like I would still want to put Vecna behind bars. Like, he didn't do good things here, okay?
Vecna's in prison. Yeah.
I don't think Vecna's already in prison.
Yeah.
Okay, so ratings. What are you going to give this one?
Okay, I'm just going to say it. I'm giving this one a 10. I
Fair
love
enough.
this episode. I think it's fantastic. Really did not have any complaints. Great season, great finale. I mean, having it 2.5 hours long, I'm glad that we split this up and divided it into 2 parts because there was a lot to cover here. But yeah, just awesome. Have no issues. What about you, Eric?
So, I think this is my second favorite episode of the season, and probably maybe of all of the series. I gave the Massacre at Hawkins Lab a 10, and that is the one where we learn Vecna is Henry is one. And I think that to me still stands as the best Stranger Things episode. Yeah. And so that being said, I do not want to discredit this episode at all. I think it was amazing. I am giving it a 9.9. I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to make it a 10 because I think the other one is better. But
slightly, I get that,
but not by a lot. And when I look at it, I have the IMDb rating here. The IMDb rating is a 9.2. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Which makes it the third favorite fan episode. Number 1 being The Massacre at Hawkins Lab. Number 2 being Dear Billy, which we both also gave 9 pluses to. We gave 9 threes, both of us. And then this one. So those 3 episodes were the biggest ones. And if you remember, Dear Billy is the one that ends with Max being levitated up on top of Billy's grave and then being dropped down with the music that they learn about. That was also a fantastic episode. And so, in other seasons where we've had Stranger Things just kind of rise the whole way, this one was way more like wavy, where it was like down, up, down, up, down, up, and it just kind of, allowed you to breathe in between. And then that made that big episode even more impactful, I think. And so I'm interested to see the ratings on season 5, because let's put it this way. All these other episodes have been out for much longer. They've had way more time for people to rate episodes. These IMDb episodes on season 5 have not even had a full calendar year. So I think the ratings will be they will be more aggressively swung one way or the other. You know what I'm saying?
So, what's interesting, I was just looking back. So the season finales consistently all hit, on IMDb anyway, hit a 9.3. This is one notch below. So this is actually, as far as season finales go, this is the lowest rated, although it's just a hair on the rest all hit 9.3. Is that
That's
interesting?
Funny.
I'm like, wow.
I mean, the season finales, though, are here's what happens. As I'm looking real quick. The season finales were also all the highest rated episodes of their season, except for this one, which goes to show how great this season was.
Yes.
And so I think there's part of that. Like, people like the other episodes more. I put myself in that camp as well. I think The Massacre at Hawkins Lab could have been the season finale and was unbelievable.
It was so good. Yeah, agreed. Oh my goodness.
How could you have given it only a 9.8?
I know, only a 9.8. I know. Yeah. So, okay, talking about ratings though, guys, I did just do a quick look because I'm like, there's got to be a way. And yes, you can rate and review podcasts on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, good.
So really, any of the listeners, there's got to be a way. And if anyone has any tricks on how to do that, please share them with us if we're just not tuned in enough there to figure that out. So I will take any pointers to share with other folks who are listening in. We would love that. But I'm sure, maybe it's just maybe Eric, you don't have the app. I don't know.
I'm gonna look to see if I can figure it out right now.
We'll look at it. We'll look at that. But yeah, just really appreciate you guys listening in. I know these are some longer episodes, so any feedback that you have, please shoot us some comments. We would love to hear from you. Let's keep the conversation rolling. And thanks for listening in. This season again has just been fantastic. Really, really look forward to getting into the finale, the last season 5 of Stranger Things with you guys. I can't believe we've already made it. Honestly, it's like we've now been recording these episodes for several weeks now, several months now, really. And we started this whole thing actually when the final season was airing. So, and when I say airing, I mean clickable on Netflix. And so it's hard to believe we've now come full circle and we're about to kick that season off again. Eric, I'm already ready to, it's like rewatching the final season. I was kind of at first, I'm like, am I going to want to rewatch? I feel like I just watched it, but no, now that we're done, we've come full circle and we just finished season 4. I'm already ready again. I'm ready to rewatch that season. So that'll be good.
Okay, I figured it out. I learned how to rate something on Apple Podcasts since we've had this debate. So, for those of you looking to give us a rating, and a few of you already have, so thank you very much if you figured it out before I did, but I have now joined all of you because I rated it. I gave it 5 stars because it's great. But if you are, again, on the podcast page, there's a 3 dot button. You would like to think that's where it is because that's where it is on Spotify. That's not it. You've got to scroll past all of the episodes, and then there's a rating and review section there where if you'd like to give it a 5-star rating, it's just on that page. You can go ahead and leave a rating and write a review if you'd like to. So now I've learned something. And now you all know it as well. So go ahead, leave your 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify, whatever you listen to. Or if you listen to us on another platform, we should be available on many other platforms as well. And with that, you can also listen to us on YouTube and Instagram and a couple other social media platforms out there. If you'd like to find our stuff there, you can find it. We thank you all for supporting us there. Our website is werunonreruns.com, where you can find all of our episodes in full. And we thank you guys so much for listening to our podcast. We really appreciate all the support. So for Amanda, this is Eric. Enjoy watching episode 1 of season 5 of Stranger Things, The Crawl, for next week. Happy rerunning, everybody.
See you later, guys.